Hey guys, it's me, Trey Rutherford. I am about to be a sophomore theater major, which is really exciting because it means I'm no longer a freshman. So my research project was over the women of Shakespeare. And we always hear, especially now, about how Shakespeare would be considered a feminist. I mean, it's an interesting topic, except for the fact that the idea of a feminist did not exist 500 years ago, and indeed was created around more of 1800, so in the 19th century, as opposed to Shakespeare's time. But does that really stop him from exhibiting those qualities of what we would now call a feminist? Probably around 3 or so months ago, I was watching this series on PBS because I'm a nerd, and it was all about uncovering different aspects of Shakespeare. And I think the one that really had the most impact on me was one titled The Women of Shakespeare. And in it really only addressed two of his plays, both comedies, but it talked about the importance of these female characters. Those two plays were As You Like It, which is a personal delight, I must say, and Twelfth Night. Now, we have characters like Rosalind, Celia, Viola, Olivia, and they really sort of represent sort of that modern idea of what we should think of as modern feminist literature, even though by some tests it's not, but we'll get into that later. So I've compiled my personal collection of Shakespeare's comedies, specifically for this project. I mean, I already had them, but I pulled them off my shelf. And so, just in order, we have As You Like It, Comedy of Errors, Midsummer Night's Dream, Much Ado About Nothing, The Taming of the Shrew, The Tempest, and Twelfth Night. Each of these in their own way really represents something within them that can now be called feminist. But to start off, I would just like to talk a little bit about how Shakespeare made his women funny. When you look back at old playwrights, old plays, the female characters really weren't that humorous. I mean, we look at Antigone, we look at Medea, things that people could argue, well, aren't those feminists? Don't they have empowering female characters? And yes, they do, but it's not the same, because those women are acting from a completely different place than where Shakespeare came from. So just a quick excerpt from As You Like It, which I think is one of the funniest bits of the entire show, and it's completely true even today. This is after Rosalind and Celia are talking about Orlando, and Celia says she's seen him, and Rosalind says, What did he when thou saw'st him? What said he? How looked he? Wherein went he? What makes him here? Did he ask for me? Where remains he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word. Shakespeare got it. He sort of understood that female psyche that no other playwright really did up until this point. He took the aspect of woman and turned it from something that some people might have seen as being below or submissive to men, and turned it into something that we can all enjoy and say, yeah, we've all been in that place. Some scholars will argue that the reason we see these types of characters emerge was Shakespeare and Elizabeth Tudor, the Queen Elizabeth, they started their journeys around the same time. One article from Hanover College entitled The Stage and State, Shakespeare's Portrayal of Women and Sovereign Issues in Macbeth and Hamlet. It's by Jane Dahl. And while I'm not using Shakespeare's tragedies and histories for this purpose, what I do like to point out is that we do start to see these empowered females, these females that have the ability to make things happen. And we see a lot of that in A Midsummer Night's Dream, where we have Titania, the Queen of the Fairies, Queen of the Fairies. We don't see a lot of female royalty up until this point, and yet we have Hippolyta, who is about to, marry the Duke of Athens, and we have Titania, the Queen of the Fairies. These two women are being put in positions of power over people, and as we can see in parts of A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hippolyta has Theseus by the boys. And that's just, it's a beautiful transition from a very male-centered patriarchal society into what could be seen as girl power. And girl power comes up again when we're looking at Beatrice. In a fantastic article entitled Dutiful Daughters and Willful Nieces, Richard Laws from Washington State University, he cites the two characters of Hero, the dutiful daughter, and Beatrice, the willful niece, as being these characters, these archetypal characters that show what we're looking at within this context, and sort of where Shakespeare was thinking of bringing his characters from in his mind. And of course, we're all familiar with Beatrice. Beatrice is the fantastically strong-willed, strong, independent woman who don't need no man, which is really apparent in her speech, where she's speaking about a man with a beard versus a man without a beard. She says, in Act 2, Scene 1, "He that hath a beard is more than a youth, and he that hath no beard is less than a man. And he that is more than a youth is not for me, and he that is less than a man, I am not for him. Therefore I will even take sixpence in earnest of the bear herd, and lead his apes into hell." She clearly says that no man is going to work. One that is old enough to have a beard or shave is not for her. And one who is too young to have a beard, she is not for him. So she has these ideas about men and how she can act as an independent woman. Well, then we have Hero. Hero is the daughter of Leonato, and Leonato controls essentially every aspect of Hero's life. I mean, this isn't a new concept for fathers and daughters to butt heads and clash on what they believe is right. And so, Leonato is all about Hero getting married and submitting to what he wants, and Hero's going to do it. Well, enter Beatrice again. Beatrice, while she's not trying to convert Hero to her way of thinking, she's trying to show her that there's something else, that there's more than just submission. And a great instance of this is when in Act 2, Scene 1, just a few lines later than the one I just read, when Beatrice says to Hero, "Yes, faith, it is my cousin's duty to make courtesy and say, 'Father, as it please you.' But yet for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow, or else make another courtesy and say, 'Father, as it please me.'" Beatrice strictly encourages Hero to say, you know what, I can make choices. I'm not without the ability to make a choice for myself. And that is a fantastic example of feminist writing, that someone can tell another woman, hey, do you, which is one of my favorite sayings ever, you do you. And that's essentially what Beatrice is trying to tell Hero to do. Hero should do Hero. And, we have fantastic other examples where, Comedy of Errors, The Tale of Two Twins, Taming of the Shrew, well, the title itself insists that it's going to be pretty funny. maybe with a few jokes at the expense of women, but a few jokes at the expense of men, because no one can tame a woman. A woman is a person, not an animal to be tamed. The Tempest, Miranda, daughter of Prospero, a fantastic father-daughter tale, where she wants one thing and he says, okay. Cross-dressing. Cross-dressing. In a University of Wisconsin series of articles entitled Shakespeare's Pathos, there's one specific instance where he talks specifically about women. Shakespeare's Pathos and the portrayal of women. It is by J.F. Pyre, and just to steal a little quote, Shakespeare's heroines are not without initiative and courage. Indeed, in many cases, those are their most distinctive traits. I know that I talked mainly about comedy in this video, but you also have characters like Desdemona, who leaves her father's house just to go to a war zone with her hubby. You have Lady Macbeth, who I honestly am scared to death of ever meeting someone just like it, because she could hurt me. You have Gertrude, who, without her marriage of Claudius, she gives him no power. So many female characters, and yet we can't think that Shakespeare might have just been a feminist. Let you decide. Thank you.